Magnum PI is an American crime drama series that premiered on CBS on December 11, 1980, and registered an 8-year-long successful run. The show starred Tom Selleck as Thomas Magnum, a Hawaii-based private detective. During the first 5 years of the show, Magnum PI maintained a spot in the top 20 U.S. television programs. The things that worked in favor of Magnum PI were the humor, dramatic action, and Tom Selleck, who, for the first time in the history of American television, made the quintessential action hero relatable for the public. In this video, we tell you some fun facts about Magnum PI that we bet you didn't know. Facts First presents Unknown Facts About Magnum PI Revealed. If you enjoy all the videos we make for you, don't forget to show appreciation by liking and subscribing to our channel. Also, press the bell icon and we'll keep you updated about all our latest videos. Tom Selleck had to give up on the role of Indiana Jones for Magnum PI. The production on Raiders of the Lost Ark began in the late 70s, and Tom Selleck, who played Thomas Magnum on Magnum PI, was approached to play the daring Indiana Jones. George Lucas was quite impressed by Selleck's audition. Unfortunately, Selleck had by then agreed to take up the role of Magnum on the CBS show. Thus, he was under contractual agreement and had to decline the offer to play Indiana Jones. Interestingly, a few days after Selleck declined the offer, a writer's strike began, which postponed the filming of the first season of Magnum PI. Well, the role of destiny can never be negated. It seems Harrison Ford was destined to play Indiana Jones. A backdoor pilot. Magnum PI's producers sought to launch Aaron Gray in a new series. Thus, they had an episode in the first season of Magnum PI as a backdoor pilot for an action series. Gray played the role of J. Digger Doyle, a security expert. In the early 1980s, Gray was a familiar face across the U.S. from her supermodel stint and roles in Buck Rogers and Silver Spoons. But Magnum PI's viewers didn't take to her immediately, and as a result, Gray didn't get the action show or a repeat appearance on Magnum PI. The show's theme song was a hit. The Magnum PI theme song was created by Mike Post and reached the 25th spot on the Billboard Hot 100 chart in 1982, a rare feat for a television theme song. Mike Post is a multi-Grammy and Emmy-winning music composer who has also created opening themes for shows like Quantum Leap, The Rockford Files, and The Greatest American Hero. However, to this day, Post's most famous work remains the Law & Order theme song. Not many people know that the Magnum PI theme song that reached the charts and that we remember was not the original choice for the show's introduction theme. The pilot, as well as many episodes of the first season, used a different song as the theme song. This song, created by Ian Freebrain Smith, was a mid-tempo jazzy piece and was used in the first 9 episodes of Season 1. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And remember to press the bell icon to allow us to keep you updated about all our latest videos. One of the highest rated TV finales of all time. The actual season finale, which was Season 8, Episode 13, Resolutions, is one of the highest rated finales on network TV. CBS's Magnum PI is the 5th most watched season finale of all time, with CBS's MASH, NBC's Cheers, NBC's Seinfeld, and NBC's Friends in the first 4 positions. The episode, which aired on May 1st, 1988, grossed over 50.7 million viewers. There were 2 series finales. Magnum PI was slated to be discontinued by the 7th season. The producers even gave viewers a finale with Magnum passing away. In the episode titled Limbo, which is the finale for Season 7, Magnum is critical from a bullet wound. In those final moments, he visits his friends unseen and unheard, making peace with them, and ultimately walks into heaven. So one can see why it was extremely surprising for the cast, crew, and audiences to hear of a Season 8. The 8th season was shorter than the rest, with only 13 episodes. The other seasons had around 18 to 23 episodes. The first episode starts with Magnum in a coma to make it seem like he dreamt of passing over, but had not in reality. The final episode of Season 8 had nothing as drastic. On the contrary, Magnum contemplates returning to the Navy and learns that his daughter Lily is alive. The producers left a few plot strings for a possible reunion, which never happened. Magnum PI drew greatly from Hawaii Five-0. Magnum PI premiered on CBS on December 11, 1980. The same year, Hawaii Five-0 said goodbye after a 12-year-long successful run. There's a strong connection between Hawaii Five-0 and Magnum PI. Both shows were set in the same universe, and therefore Thomas Magnum, Magnum PI's lead private investigator, would often mention Steve McGarrett, the head of a special task force, and the protagonist of Hawaii Five-0. In fact, the makers of Magnum PI requested Jack Lord, who played Detective Steve McGarrett, to make a cameo on Magnum PI. Unfortunately, Lord declined the offer. The connection between the 2 shows doesn't end there. Since CBS didn't want Hawaii Five-O's production facilities to go to waste, the network execs asked the makers of Magnum PI to shoot many of their indoor scenes of the show. The network execs asked the makers of Magnum PI to shoot many of the indoor scenes of the show on the soundstage created for Hawaii Five-O. Orson Welles lent his voice to Robin Masters. Orson Welles was an American actor, writer, producer, and director. Many consider him to be one of the best filmmakers of all time. On Magnum PI, Orson Welles served as the voice of Robin Masters, the author who gives his guest house to Magnum in return for his services. Though Masters is heard often during the show, he never appears fully. One can only see his back and his different body parts. While Orson Welles appeared on the show as the voice of Robert Masters, Bruce Atkinson appeared in those scenes where Masters' silhouette was needed. The makers of the show had extended out a contract to Orson Welles, designating him as the voice of Robin Masters for as long as the show remained on the air. Unfortunately, the actor passed away in 1985, which ended his association with the show. Belisario wanted to combine Magnum PI and Quantum Leap, but the crossover never happened. Donald P. Belisario is an American producer and screenwriter credited with creating several super popular shows, including Magnum PI, Airwolf, Quantum Leap, and NCIS. However, his idea to combine two of his super successful series, Magnum PI and Quantum Leap, turned out to be a bigger hassle than even he had imagined. Quantum Leap was on television between 1989 and 93. However, after the fourth season, the ratings of the show began to decline. Thus, to bag the fifth season, Belisario came up with the idea of making Dr. Sam Beckett jump into the body of Thomas Magnum. However, the idea did not work out, and Selleck was never approached for the show. By this time, Magnum PI had gone off the air, and Selleck had moved on to new projects. A crossover with Murder, She Wrote happened, though. However, a crossover between Magnum PI and Murder, She Wrote did take place in the episode Novel Connection of Season 7 of Magnum PI, and episode Magnum on Ice of Murder, She Wrote. In this episode, Magnum is arrested for murder, and Jessica Fletcher, of Murder, She Wrote, appears to be the only person who can clear Magnum's name. Other than Murder, She Wrote, the show also crossed over with Simon and Simon. In this crossover episode, the team of three works together to recover a Hawaiian artifact that apparently had a death curse attached to it. There was almost a Magnum movie. Rumors of a Magnum PI film began doing the rounds after the show ended in 1988, and in the 90s it seemed very possible too. The famed novelist Tom Clancy was a huge fan of the show and wanted to work on the story for a movie, but nothing materialized. Several years later, Selleck mentioned that he and Clancy had pitched the idea to Universal, and the studio did seem interested, so it was a real possibility at one point. But the three-time change in Universal's ownership kind of disrupted plans. The show was iconic enough for a museum. Those who have never watched Magnum PI won't understand the hype behind this epic show. But when you consider that the Hawaiian shirt, Detroit Tigers hat, and the insignia ring that Selleck wore during the series are preserved as TV relics at the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History, you get a fair deal about how big a deal Thomas Magnum was back in the day. When the show ended, these items were donated to the museum, where they joined the ranks of the mask from Lone Ranger and a puppet in the likeness of Kermit the Frog. The Reboot. CBS announced a pilot for a reboot of Magnum PI in October 2017, and Jay Hernandez was cast to play the younger Magnum in February 2018. The first episode aired on September 24, 2018 on CBS and featured Larry Manetti as Nicky, Perdita Weeks as Juliet Higgins, and Zachary Knighton as Rick Wright, among the other core cast members. The show received mixed reviews. Some called it mediocre, while others loved the lighthearted concept. Almost all of the older audiences were initially shocked by the idea of a female Higgins, but it seemed to mostly grow on them eventually. Many did say, though, that the character had changed a lot from the original Higgins, irrespective of the gender. The American crime drama Magnum PI is a classic to binge watch even today. Those who are too young and didn't get to enjoy this on TV back then can always stream it for a good laugh. That is, of course, if you don't mind the 80s video quality. Those who did watch the show back in the 80s need no reminder of it, especially female audiences who watched Selleck so much they went on to follow all the other shows he appeared in. Did we miss any other interesting, unknown facts about Magnum PI? Mention them in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. If you like these facts, please go ahead and hit the like button, as well as subscribe to our channel for more such interesting facts. Oh, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you can stay updated with our latest videos.